All right, everybody, welcome to Fast Cars, Fast Money. We are looking at the truck series here, and we are excited to be back in the trucks this weekend, aren't we, Andrew?
We are. We got the band back together. It's myself, Coop, and Rich. And like Coop was talking about right there, we're going to be breaking down the Truck Series and the Cup Series for you guys. Xfinity Series has off, but we're heading over to Richmond, Coop's home track, about an hour from where he is living now. Coop's got a new background over there. He just got done with a big move, so that's why he has not been on the podcast recently, but he's back and we're excited to get his thoughts and opinions. So let's dive into the preview. So if you guys probably saw, it's another Kyle Busch week. As always, that leaves us with the question of, do you play Kyle Busch or do you not play Kyle Busch? We'll dive into that when we kind of break down the drivers here. As always, you don't want to overpay for place differential. Focus more on trying to get those lap leaders in your lineups and focusing more on the value and finishing potential of the drivers. And we still don't have any practice in qualifying. So just because you're starting up front doesn't mean you're going to finish up front or stay up front. You're literally just unloading and going, basically. So whoever gets that set up right, kind of unloading from the truck is probably to get that early jump. But the race should be, the truck series isn't too long of a race, but the race should be relatively long enough that if a guy misses his setup, he can hopefully dial it back in by the end. And a little bit of housekeeping. So I think this is like week 9 of NASCAR, and we've had great growth so far. So thank you guys so much for tuning in and listening to what we have to say. Any lineup questions you have, you can hop over on Twitter. It's at FastCarsFM, or you can drop any questions or comments down in the comments below. We'll make sure we get back to you for the lock of the race. But any other housekeeping or initial thoughts from either of you guys before we start diving in?
Nope, let's get to it.
All right, Rich. So we're going to ask you the question about the elephant in the room. What are your thoughts on Mr. Kyle Busch this week at 16.5?
Well, anytime Kyle Busch is in a truck, you basically got to play him or play 2 lines, 1 line with him, 1 line without him. He's 16,500, so you're going to have to scrape the bottom of the barrel for value to get back up here and get another solid dominator play. But I think he's a must, and if I'm making 20 lineups, he'll probably be in like 70% of them. I like John Hunter Nemechek. He's starting 18th, gives you PD upside, and he can easily get up to the top 3 there and maybe fight Kyle Busch for a couple laps led and fast laps and dominator points. And then Tyler Ankrum, on these short tracks and tracks with a lot of laps, we don't really need that many place differential guys. You need guys that are going to lead laps and get you dominator points. So while Ankrum would be a good play on a 1.5 mile track or the super speedways, he's just not going to be that great here because like the place differential points aren't going to matter as much if Kyle Busch is getting 150 laps led points and whatnot. So.
Yeah, I agree with Rich. I think with Kyle Busch and John Hunter Nemechek, they are the favorites to get out front and lead some laps. And when you're looking at somebody like Ankrum, say he gets a top 5, yeah, it's a great score. He's got the place differential points, but I really think that Kyle Busch is going to get out there and lead the majority of the race. And so all of those dominator points you're losing out on by going to Ankrum. If he was cheaper, I'd be really interested. But at that price point, if you're going to pay above 11K for somebody, I would rather go to John Hunter Nemechek or Kyle Busch. And Rich touched on it. Normally, when Kyle Busch is in a race like this, it's tough to pay that much for anybody. But I'm putting the majority of my money on Kyle Busch, and then I will have another line that doesn't have Kyle Busch in it that's substantially less money, maybe in a larger GPP where if it hits, it might hit big. So that's usually my approach when Kyle Busch is in these truck races.
Yeah, I think those are both great points. And, NASCAR now limits the amount of races that these full-time Cup Series drivers can basically dip down into whether it's the Xfinity series or the truck series. So Kyle Busch is literally hand picking the races that he wants to run. He runs usually 5 truck races a year now with the new NASCAR rules. And, he's picking these 5 races for a reason. He thinks he has a good shot to win. Richmond is a great track for him. And I think when you're trying to pick your lines and pick your drivers, you really have to kind of paint the picture almost of, okay, if I think Kyle Busch is going to lead a majority of this race and he starts 12th, it doesn't really matter what the salary is, as long as you think he's going to get out there and lead all those laps. If he does that, he's going to outscore, a fading a Kyle Busch, for example, and maybe playing 2 10K guys. Because if he's racking up all those Dominator and Hog points, no one else is getting them. So I think if you are playing Kyle Busch, the question is, okay, who are you going to pair him with? Who's going to lead and get those early Dominator points before Kyle Busch gets up there? And how quickly does Kyle Busch get up there? Because if you think he gets there up there pretty quick and just is going to dominate the race, then maybe you don't have to pay, up for some of these guys. You can kind of focus more on place differential if you see that narrative playing out. So I'm going to be playing a lot of Kyle Busch as well. Like Rich said, I'm not going to go 100% owned, but probably definitely in that 60 to 70% range. Love John Hunter. Tyler Anklam's just a little bit too expensive at the price. Sheldon Creed, Austin Hill, Zane Smith, Grant Enfinger, Sam Mayer, and Brett Moffitt. We got a ton of guys in this kind of 10 to 9K range. My 2 favorites are probably Austin Hill and Zane Smith, just from looking at Richmond last year and figuring out, okay, who's going to lead these early laps potentially before Kyle Busch gets out there. And I could see Austin Hill doing that. I could see Zane Smith doing that. And even if they don't, they're priced in a way that you could still pair them with Kyle Busch and kind of bank on a solid finish. But who are you guys kind of leaning towards when you're looking at these 10 to 9K range here?
In this range, this is about where you're going to be able to get back up to if you're playing Kyle Busch. So if you, like Andrew said, if you want to pair him with another guy that could potentially lead early, this is likely where you're going to end back up. And I agree with you. I like Austin Hill and Zane Smith as well. I think I like Austin Hill a little bit more, but then again, I am a Austin Hill fan, so I feel like him starting second, he can get the lead early and maybe hold Kyle Busch off for the first stage, if that's possible. And then basically everybody in this range, I will probably have pieces of in my 20 lineups that I'm going to make. Sam Mayer, we have him as low, but he's literally not going to kill your line. So if you end back up here and you're thinking of the narrative that Kyle Busch is going to dominate the whole race, then Sam Mayer will be a great play because he can easily finish in the top 20. The truck's not as great, but he's a great short track racer, so I have no problem playing him if you believe Kyle Busch is going to dominate the whole race.
Yeah, this region. Your entire line depends on whether you play Kyle Busch or not. But if you're not playing Kyle Busch and you decide to pass on Nemechek and Ankrum too, this is an area where if you're hoping that those drivers don't lead laps, then you're probably plugging in a number of these drivers and really hoping that they can lead a decent portion of the race. And I think Sheldon Creed, Austin Hill, Zane Smith are all going to be pretty popular drivers, I think. And then somebody not to sleep on is Enfinger. I think he's going to come in lower owned, and I think he'd be a great GP play. Like Rich said, I don't mind Mayer if that's where you end up, but if you have the salary to go up or a little from him, I strongly prefer the 4 drivers above him. And then Moffitt, same as Mayer. If that's where you end up, that's, it's a fine play. It's okay, but it's just, it's not gonna make your line look fantastic at the end either. It's just a really good end point. If you're building the rest of your line, say you get Kyle Busch and you're selecting all your value out, and then you end up with 9K left or 9,200 left, then I'm fine with Mayer or Moffitt too.
Yeah, I think you really have to, at this range, if you're not playing Kyle Busch, like Coop said, great point. Like easily you can fit 3 of these guys in the lineup, no problem. But if you are playing Kyle Busch, or if Kyle Busch isn't leading, I want to focus on who can potentially lead laps. Sheldon Creed can lead laps. Austin Hill can lead laps. Zane Smith can lead laps. Grant Enfinger can lead laps. I don't know if Sam Mayer or Brett Moffitt could lead laps in the equipment that they're in. Brett Moffitt might give you a good finishing position. Sam Mayer gives you a lot of place differential. But if you really want to take down those GPPs, you got to take some risks. And the upside that an Enfinger, Smith, Hill, or Creed has is going to be pretty high there. So let's hop down to 8K. Matt Crafton, Derek Kraus, Ben Rhodes, and Stuart Friesen. I like a lot of these guys. The guy I'm not too crazy about is Friesen. If you just look at kind of the guys starting in the top, 6, 8, of who's going to lead laps, I'm not that confident that Friesen's going to be there. I mean, he's cheap, so maybe plug him into a lineup or two. But Ben Rhodes starts first. He's in the best position possible to get this early lead. But we've usually been fading these pole sitters, and especially if you think Kyle Busch is going to be coming through the field pretty quickly, he's going to be dropping back. So definitely a GPP only play there, unless you can see him, leading early, then plug him in. Derek Kraus, much rather would pay down for Derek Kraus than pay, it's really not that much of a difference, but pay up to Sam Mayer. I think Derek Kraus has a little bit more upside in the equipment that he's in. And then Matt Crafton, we saw Thor Sport as a whole run really, really well at Richmond last year. I think they all finished like top 3, except for Johnny Sauter. But if they can bring that same kind of speed again, they're all going to be solid plays at the price. But sir, I know Rich is probably leaning toward Derek Kraus. Is that right?
I love Derek Kraus, but like I said, it's going to be hard to get back up to these guys and get multiple of these guys if you're playing Kyle Busch. And if I'm trying to get back up to this range, I'm probably going to likely go a little bit higher to the Zane Smith, Austin Hill, Sheldon Creed range, as opposed to playing Derek Kraus, just because they have the place differential, or not place differential, the Dominator upside. So like this range it's a fine range besides Stuart Friesen, but I'm finding it hard to get back up here with another lineup spot.
I think it's about how you think the race is going to go. If you get Kyle Busch, you think he's going to lead the vast majority of the race, and you don't think anybody else is going to get Dominator points. Why wouldn't you go after somebody like Derek Kraus? I'm jumping down a little bit, but a Chandler Smith, where they have that finishing potential and the place differential potential. So I really like Derek Kraus, and I'll probably have him sprinkled in my Kyle Busch lines too, because I really think that Kyle Busch could get out front and nobody else is going to get those Dominator points. And then I'm looking for guys that can finish high and give me that place differential at a reasonable price that I feel is where they should be priced. And I think Derek Kraus is right on the money there. I do like Matt Crafton a lot too, actually. I don't think, similar to Enfinger, I don't think he'll be that high owned, and he's just a really safe play. He's going to get you a top 10 if he runs clean. He's gonna really get you what you're expecting. I mean, he's just very consistent. And then Ben Rhodes and Friesen, I'm with you, Andrew. I'm not as interested in them. It's probably the right price for them, but at the same time, I'd rather spend my money elsewhere.
Yeah, if you look at Tyler Ankle's price, it's $11,000, and Derek Kraus starts one position higher, and he's $8,500. So I'd much rather pay down and get Derek Kraus, especially if you think Kyle Busch is going to get up there pretty quickly. Another guy I like is Chandler Smith. I mean, he's in the same equipment as John Hunter Nemechek and Kyle Busch. Like, no, he's not as good a driver as those guys, but he starts 23rd. It's another just solid place differential play, and he's cheap enough that you can fit him in with an expensive guy like Kyle Busch. Johnny Sauter, he's okay. He's not going to lead you any laps, but he could move forward and get you a top 10. And at that price, that's, that'll work out. Truex starts a little bit too high there in the equipment. He basically needs to have a career day to finish where he starts. So I don't like that. Spencer Davis, not too crazy about, just based upon where he's starting and the equipment that he's in. Todd Gilliland, we usually see him run well at these shorter flat tracks. So if he was starting a little bit deeper in the field, I'd probably have some more interest, but he's definitely going to be in my player pool, be having some interest of some shares of Todd Gilliland. Rafael Lessard, not a lot of interest there. Yes, he's in good equipment, but look at all the other guys around him and even guys behind him. I'm more confident in them passing him and even leading laps than I am with Lassard. And then Timmy Hill's another solid place differential play. It's like, I don't want to pay all the way up for Tyler Ankrum, when I can just drop down and, pay down for a Timmy Hill or a Chandler Smith or a Derek Kraus. Like, these are great place differential plays that you can pair in your line, as long as you are hitting those dominators.
Totally agree. I really like Chandler Smith. I really like Timmy Hill. And the other one I like out of this range is Sauter. You touched on it a little bit, but I think he can easily move forward and pay off that price tag. And if you're not expecting, again, if you have one line that's your GPP non-Kyle Busch line, you have your other line that's, your Kyle Busch line. And I think Johnny Sauter with that price starting 19th should move up. I think it's a good play. It's a good pairing with Kyle Busch. And I think he's going to be useful in certain line builds.
Yeah, you guys touched on the best plays in this range with Chandler Smith and Timmy Hill. I don't mind Rafael Lassard as much as Andrew does. I think this equipment, he can easily stay up here in the top 7 or 8 and be able to pay off that price tag. If he finishes 5th, he would be at over 5 times value. So I'm not totally against that play, but I would rather, if I'm only playing one lineup, I would rather pay down for Timmy Hill there, $100 cheaper. That's about it for this range.
You want to keep going with the next range there?
Yeah, that's in this range. I liked Nolan. He's not going to hurt your line at all. Starting 36, he should move up throughout the race. Normally, we're on Haley Deegan a lot because she's starting deeper in the field. Starting 14th here, it's going to be tough for her to stay around there. I have a feeling she's going to drop back a little bit, maybe low 20s. So not going to pay off that price tag right there unless she can hold on to that spot. And then Dawson Cram and Timothy Peters. Once we start getting down to this range, it's literally you're going to have to spread it out if you're playing multiple lines because it's tough to figure out which guy is going to maintain the track position and be able to move up and not get into an accident. Because all of these trucks aren't as great as the top tier guys.
Yeah, there's definitely a big discrepancy in equipment. But if you want to go the Kyle Busch route, you gotta, like Rich said, you gotta get down here and you gotta find some value on the slate. So maybe I'm crazy, but a guy that I'm pretty high about this week is actually Dawson Cram. Last year, the short flat tracks were the tracks that they basically came out and said that they were focusing on, had good sponsorship money for, had circled on the track. Well, the Truck Series didn't run Martinsville last week, and if you look at what other potential short tracks are out there that the Truck Series is running, you're going to find yourself at Richmond this week. And they've already come out on Twitter and posted a picture of the truck. It's sponsored, it's ready to go. They've been working on this truck for weeks. He starts 31st too, so he can't really hurt your line that much. Granted, I don't know if he can finish as high as maybe a Tanner Gray, a Chase Purdy, a Haley Deegan, but if those drivers don't work out, or if they even move back a little bit, and Dawson Cram can get you even 10 place differential points, I'll take that all day long. And I don't think a lot of people are going to play him either. So I think he's a good pivot play off of maybe some of the more kind of brand names in this price range. But I know Coop's been playing a lot of Haley Deegan this year. Are you still interested with her starting 14th?
No, not this race. It's just a little too high. If she was starting 20th on back, I would be, and I think it'd be a fair price for her. But at 14th, it's a little too high. I am semi-interested in Chase Purdy. I think he could stay around 15th if he has a really good race, and that would pay off that price tag. And I'm going up now instead of down. But I think Jeff Nolan, like you guys touched on him, Jet Nolan, he's just real safe. He's going to move forward. He should move forward and get you a couple spots there, and he'd be a nice place differential pairing with Busch too. I'm not crazy about Dawson Cram. It seems risky, so I'm going to avoid that in most of my lines. But I am interested in Timothy Peters. I think that's a very good place differential play. He could move forward and get you some points. And Rohrbaugh, I'm interested in him too. He could easily stay in the top 20 and maybe sneak into a top 15 there too.
Yeah, these punt plays are, man, I mean, they are something this week. I'm not really sure which way I'm going to go. Usually the way that I approach the punt plays is I'll try to narrow it down to maybe 4 or 5 of these guys. And then really just, sprinkle my ownership with those 20 lineups that I'm building. But yeah, if I had to pick, I like Danny Bone. I don't mind. I guess it's Ryan Reed who's in that 49 truck. I know DraftKings and NASCAR, the entry list has kind of been going back and forth. So whoever's starting 39th,
it's Ryan Reed now.
Okay, whoever's starting 39th, I definitely have some interest there. Josh Rayum starts 37th. Like at this point, I'm almost kind of looking at where they're starting, because even if they have a bad day, like it's not going to hurt your line. Whereas if you play like maybe a Chris Wright and he wrecks, like starting 22nd, that's going to hurt you a little bit. But is there anyone that you guys have a strong feeling about kind of down in this range?
I like Hocevar. Rich always likes Hocevar, so I wanted to be first to say it this time. I really like Hocevar this week. I think this is the perfect time to play him. I think starting 13th, if he stays right around in the top 15, I mean, what a great result that would be for him. Yeah, let's jack that up.
Bump him up.
I like Hocevar this week. I like Bone too. Again, we're not crazy about any of these punt plays, but you're just forced to play them if you're playing Kyle Busch. So we're trying to pick out a few here that we think are you want to play more than others. But and then I agree, Rayum. I really like Rayum. I think for 5,100, he's not going to kill your line, and I just think it's a fine price for Rayum at starting 37th.
Yeah, obviously I like Carson Hocevar. He runs solid every week. He should have no problem staying in the top 15 all race. He's just got to stay clean. And then going back to Chris Wright, I like Chris Wright here. He doesn't need to do much to pay off his cheap salary. He's $4,800. But I will probably have less of him than those other guys that you guys mentioned just because of where he's starting at. But that's about it for this range. All the guys that have none next to them, I wouldn't touch them at all.
All right, well, that's going to do it for the truck series. Best of luck to everyone playing NASCAR DFS this weekend. Once you're done building your truck lineups, hop over and watch our Cup video. And then over on Twitter, we'll be posting kind of any updates that we have before the race as far as like, hey, this guy failed inspection. Is he still in play? Or whatever it might be. So tune into that for any updates to this video. But thank you guys so much as always, and we'll see you on the Cup video.